Interviewing and recommending inspectors. In the previous section, we discussed the circumstances in which a buyer may decide to waive a property inspection and the risks that decision creates for both the buyer and the real estate professional. We also examined the importance of verifying inspector qualifications, licensing, and insurance coverage before recommending inspectors to clients. When a buyer decides to hire a home inspector, the next step is helping the buyer properly evaluate the inspector's qualifications. Selecting an inspector should not be based solely on price or convenience. Instead, buyers should approach the process similarly to a professional interview by asking questions designed to determine whether the inspector is qualified, experienced, and capable of performing a thorough property evaluation. Real estate professionals play an important advisory role in this process. While agents should avoid directing buyers to a single inspector without verification of qualifications, they can help buyers understand the questions they should ask and the standards inspectors should meet. This approach protects the buyer while also reducing the agent's exposure to negligent referral claims. Can you provide references? One of the most important questions buyers should ask when evaluating a home inspector is whether the inspector can provide references from previous clients. This question is similar to a standard employment interview question and allows the buyer to verify the inspector's past performance and reputation. Credible and experienced inspectors should be able to provide the names and contact information of several previous clients who are willing to discuss their experience. Buyers should not hesitate to contact at least 3 of these references to ask about the inspector's professionalism, thoroughness, and communication during the inspection process. During these conversations, buyers may ask questions about whether the inspector arrived on time, whether the inspection was conducted carefully and thoroughly, and whether the inspector clearly explained any problems discovered during the inspection. These conversations provide valuable insight into the inspector's competence and reliability. What does your inspection cover? Another critical question buyers should ask is what the inspection actually includes. The inspector should be able to clearly explain the scope of the inspection and the standards that guide their work. Professional home inspectors typically follow recognized standards of practice that define what components of a home must be inspected and how those inspections should be conducted. Many inspectors follow standards established by professional organizations such as the American Society of Home Inspectors, ASHI, or similar inspection associations. These organizations typically require inspectors to meet professional standards, follow ethical guidelines, and participate in continuing education. Buyers and agents should request documentation explaining the inspector's procedures, standards of practice, and reporting process. At the conclusion of the inspection, the inspector should provide a written report describing the findings of the inspection. This report should clearly identify the areas of the property that were evaluated, any issues discovered during the inspection, and recommendations for further evaluation or repair. Agents and buyers should also ask to review a sample inspection report prepared by the inspector. Reviewing a previous report helps buyers determine whether the inspector's documentation is clear, thorough, and easy to understand. How much do you charge? Cost is another question that buyers frequently ask when selecting a home inspector. Inspection fees can vary depending on geographic location, property size, the age of the home, and the scope of services provided. In many markets, the cost of a residential home inspection may range between approximately $200 and $600. Larger or older homes may require more time to inspect and may result in higher inspection fees. While cost is naturally a consideration for buyers, the price of the inspection should not be the primary factor in selecting an inspector. In many situations, the lowest-priced inspector may have less experience or may spend less time conducting the inspection. Because thorough inspections require time and expertise, inspectors who charge extremely low fees may not provide the same level of service as more experienced professionals. The value of a professional inspection often far exceeds the cost. The information provided in the inspection report may help the buyer negotiate repairs, request contract modifications, or avoid purchasing a property with significant defects. Some inspectors also carry additional professional protections, such as general liability insurance and errors and omissions, E&O insurance. Inspectors who maintain these protections may charge higher fees, but this coverage can provide additional protection if an inspector fails to identify a significant defect during the inspection. An effective comparison can be made to safety equipment. For example, someone purchasing a motorcycle may spend thousands of dollars on the bike itself, but hesitate to purchase a high-quality helmet. However, the helmet is the equipment most likely to protect the rider in the event of an accident. The same reasoning applies to home inspections. The buyer may hesitate to spend a few $100s on an inspection, but the inspection may ultimately reveal issues that save the buyer thousands of dollars in repair costs. May the agent and buyer be present at the inspection? Buyers and agents should always ask whether they are allowed to attend the inspection. A qualified and professional inspector should welcome both the buyer and the buyer's agent to be present during the inspection process. An inspector who refuses to allow the buyer or the agent to attend the inspection should be viewed as a potential red flag. Transparency is an important part of the inspection process, and buyers benefit greatly from observing the inspection firsthand. When buyers attend the inspection, they have the opportunity to ask questions and receive explanations about the condition of the property. The inspector can point out issues as they are discovered and explain the potential causes and consequences of those issues. If the buyer is unable to attend the inspection due to scheduling conflicts, the agent should strongly consider rescheduling the inspection so that the buyer can be present. Attending the inspection allows the buyer to better understand the property and reduces the likelihood that the buyer will later claim that important information was not communicated. Participation in the inspection process helps ensure that the buyer has a clear understanding of the property's condition before proceeding with the purchase. Online discussion. Why should buyers request references from a home inspector before hiring them? Answer. References allow buyers to verify the inspector's professionalism, experience, and ability to conduct thorough property inspections. Why should buyers review a sample inspection report before selecting an inspector? Answer. Reviewing a sample report allows buyers to evaluate how clearly and thoroughly the inspector documents property conditions. Why is it beneficial for buyers to attend the home inspection? Answer. Attending the inspection allows buyers to observe the inspection process, ask questions, and gain a better understanding of the property's condition.